Hello there. So we've got another video here on the channel, but this one is for a younger year group. For one earthquake or volcano you have studied, this answer carries 2 marks for spelling and grammar and punctuation. A. Locate the country affected by the earthquake or volcanic eruption that you've studied and explain how it occurred. And then B. Explain the effects on people, the economy and the environment. So what we need to do is first of all use our bug strategy here, so we'll tick that off as we go. There are a number of command words here in the questions, so I'm just going to point them out to you by boxing them here. It's the first part of the bug strategy. So locate, we're going to box that because we need to name and locate the country, so where it is as well as the country that we're talking about here. Affected by the earthquake that we've studied. In this case, this is going to be our go-to here because we've done quite a lot on Nepal, so we can just put that straight into the next to our question so we don't forget it. And how it occurred, how it happened, what are the causes of this earthquake. And then B, explain the effects on people, the economy and the environment. So explain the effects on people, the economy and the environment. And these are 3 different types of geography, so we're going to have to kind of have at least 3 main points or 3 main ideas without the answer. So I always recommend a appeal strategy for these kind of part B's that we've got here, but for part A, where we're explaining how something has occurred, we can simply use B. We can simply use the PEE strategy. So for the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make our point, which was that Nepal in South Asia or Southern Asia, I'm just going to put ... here, experienced an earthquake of a magnitude 7.6 on the Richter scale. So again, please make sure that you refer to the strength of the earthquake, so that's going to feed into the rest of the answer later on. We know that it was 7.6 on the Richter scale, so really useful information for us to get in there. That can come in next. So the earthquake registered .6 on the Richter scale. The earthquake was caused by, and then this brings us into our next bit, our E in our answer. So this earthquake was caused by, and you're going to have to finish that sentence off with the idea that it was caused by convection currents in the mantle, where you've got 2 plates colliding. I'm not going to sketch it, to be honest, because at this point you know, but with the arrows we'll show. We've got our convection currents driving the one plate this way, convection currents in the mantle driving one plate this way. They push against each other, they create folding and faulting, and that faulting, or the slipping of the 2 plates along a fault line, leads to the release of pressure and the creation of earthquakes. So this earthquake was caused by convection currents in the mantle between the plates that were involved. So again, you name the plates, and we know that they were the Indian and the Eurasian plates, so that information comes down here, and it happened at a collision plate boundary. So this is going to go into part A. Now part B is going to be our information down here, where we have I'm just going to highlight a couple of things here, and you're going to have to figure out the rest. So 9,000 people died. We would say that that's a social long-term impact, because, well, it's long-term because it's going to have a direct effect on the future of the country. People are going to struggle in the long term to recover from that amount of people losing their jobs. People are going to struggle to provide services to the country. They're going to be severely affected. Takes a long time to recover that amount of people. People's families are going to be disrupted for a long time, so that's why it's a long-term effect. Short-term effects are going to be things that can maybe be fixed in the immediate future through aid from other countries and so on. Right, so that was our first part. That's our part A. Once you do that, you get 1 mark for naming the location, and then you're going to get in your extra couple of marks then for showing where it was located, what it registered on the Richter scale, and what it was caused by. So, second answer then, I suggest a couple of Peel paragraphs, and we're going to model out what those might look like. So here's one of them. So let's focus straight away on the 9,000 people dying. So one social impact, and we're going to say one social long-term impact here, as we have said before, on Nepal, and you finish that sentence, yeah, and you say, was 9,000 people dying as a result of the of many different things. The reason why they died, for example, was the earthquake created landslides, and avalanches, and then ... So one social long-term impact on Nepal was the death of many people in the country. The earthquake created landslides and avalanches, which led to a total of 9,000 people dying, as well as from other things. This affected the country because, and you need to make sure that you don't say anything about jobs here, because you're talking about your social impact, unless you want to say social and economic impacts in the same sentence, so in the same Peel paragraph. So this affected the country because, so you could have a couple of options here. You could say people had family loss, right? You could say that people were no longer able to support their families, and as a result of that, people's health would have deteriorated. People would have gone mentally, would have been mentally affected. So mental impact, and then just generally for the safety of the country. I mean, you have less people in the country to look after the vulnerable, so safety for the vulnerable, the elderly, and children in the country. So these are some of the things that you can talk about from a social impact. Okay, in terms of an economic impact, I think you would have no issue showing that a number of people would have lost their jobs because their businesses were destroyed, and so on and so forth. So social impact being people dying. Therefore, the future of the country was severely affected by the permanent loss of many people. So that's a nice link sentence towards the end. You're not repeating what you've said already. You've added in that kind of concept of the loss being permanent. So you would go on then and you would do an additional Peel paragraph on environmental if you decided to fit in that little bit of information about in here the economic. So many people dying would have led to a number of people losing business, being less spending by people. You'd say that 9,000 people dying meant that there were less jobs, or more jobs needing to be filled. And that's just a couple ideas from economic perspective. Environmental, you're thinking about things here like animal habitats. You're thinking about vegetation. You're thinking about trees, plants, and so on. So, look, these strategies that you can use, like bug and remembering your key terms, annotating your question, are going to be really, really helpful for a question of this magnitude, of this importance. Apologies for the pun with that term magnitude there. Okay, best of luck with this question.